It's time to put in the first floor floor joist framing now. We put the steel beams in the last tutorial, and I want to change what I'm looking at in terms of my 3D view. I'm going to come over to the front and take my section box and just drag it down so that it will show me between the basement and the first floor. So I think we can see the steel beams in there. Yes, we can see the steel beams that I put in there. They're in there, and now we need to put our framing in there. So this floor framing, I'm trying to determine how I want to frame. If I'm going to frame here, then I should put a steel beam in there as well. I'm going to frame all the way across the same way I did on the first floor. The other thing we want to do now is change the view range of my first floor structural plan. So let's try that and see what happens. I type VR for view range. I want to go below -2 inches. I want to go below the floor now. So let's see what happens here. Now I have to change this also. So I'll make that -1 feet and -10 feet. Let's apply that and see how it changed. It's still showing me the first floor because I'm telling it to. So I'm going to say -2 inches for that as well. And now I can just see my basement plan. And that's how I would want to display my first floor framing. So my question is how I want to frame that. I have the entire first floor has to be framed. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, all right, if I might frame that, let's see what that distance is. I'll just measure it, get an approximate distance across here. And it's 22 feet. Now a 2x12 will span about 20 feet at 16 inches on center. But I probably would have to reduce it down to maybe 12 inches on center for it to actually be able, for a 2x12 to actually be able to span that distance. So I'm looking at my framing. I'm definitely going to go across this way till I get to here. But then what am I going to do? Am I going to go across this way, or am I just going to go across here? So I think what I'm going to do is put a steel beam in under the first floor. So I'm going to go to my regular first floor plan, and I want to identify where the center line of that wall is. So I'll go over to the architecture tab and put in a reference plane, and I'll just draw it in from here just to there. Now if I go back to my first floor plan, I can see that reference plane. That represents the center of the wall above. So I'll say, let's see what happens if we create similar here and just go from, say, here down to here. And how does that look now? It looks like it's higher than I want it to be because I can't see the top flange. So I'll click on the properties of that. It's still relative to the first floor. So Control V and Control V. I copied that distance before. We'll apply it. Now I can see the steel beam. And see how the steel beam goes into the basement wall? They would put a beam pocket there. They would actually drop the wall down a little bit right there in order to accept that steel beam. So now I have a beam in there. And I think what I want to do is bring this steel beam all the way across to there. And I'm going to bring this steel beam all the way across to there. And the reason I want to do that is I want the entire span of this particular part of the floor to be, of the floor of the foyer and the back hall. I want that to be in the same direction. So there won't be any differential movement between the two different spans, which might crack a floor. If I'm going to put in oak flooring, we need to put that flooring perpendicular to the span of the floor joist. And if I have a different span of the floor joist, then I have to change the span of or the direction of the oak flooring. And I wouldn't want to change that. I want to keep it all the same. And I know my oak flooring is probably going to be around here, so it'll all my floor joists will be the same. So what happened right here? Let's see. It appears to have gone up higher too, so Control V and Control V, and let's see if that puts it back down. Yeah, so you can see now that, let's see, let's click on this guy right here. That looks okay. But this guy, it looks like there might be two steel beams there. And that's one of the advantages of looking at. So I have no idea what's going on right there. So let's take our section and take a look at it, and that might give us a better idea. And before we go any farther, let's go to that section just to see what's happening with that steel beam. Yeah, look at that, it's crooked. So if I click on that beam, see it should have the same offset for the end level as the start level and the end level. And for some reason I didn't do that, but now it's straight. See how it's nice and straight now? So that's another advantage of all of the different views that you can have in your project, so you can see how things are actually working. And I like the 3D view because that gives me a good idea of what's happening there. And I could see that there was a problem, and what it was that this end and this end were not at the same level, so it was sort of on an angle. Anyway, I think we're ready to go to the framing. We'll do one section of framing, and let's do the easy one. So I know that these are all going this way, and these are going this way, so I'll put that in. So we're going to go up to the structure. We're going to go up to our beam system, and I'm going to sketch it, and I'll just draw the lines this time. And I know, where do they go? They go to the face of the rim joist, and I'm going to send it all the way over to the edge of the beam here, and I'll send it all the way to the edge of the beam here, and all the way back over to the rim joist again, the inside face of the rim joist, and then I'll close it. Now, I want the direction to be front to back, but if you see these double lines here, they're side to side. So I'm going to change the beam direction by clicking on this line, and now they're all going front to back. What is the correct height of it? It looks like we're okay. And 16 inches on center. What's the dimensional lumber? I'm just going to hover over that to see. It's a 2 by 12. Okay, and it's 16 inches on center, so I think we're all right. I'm going to say okay to that. And look what happened. It put those guys in. Now, it didn't put them in far enough because they missed the edge of this beam. So I need to change, I need to modify that. And it's not easy, I don't think. Let's see if I can tab around and get that. Now, I'm going to go back to this section and pick it. When I say pick it, I mean I'm going to go to that view and pick my structural system, because that's probably the easiest way to do it. And you see I'm looking for the dash line. I'm not seeing the dash line. Let's go back to the first floor here and see where that section goes. Ah, that's because it doesn't cut through. So I'll just move my section line back a little bit. And then it should cut through my structural system. And I'm trying to simply select that, which I just put in. And so I'm waiting for my section to move back there. It's taking a long time for a simple process. All right, so I don't know why it's taking so long at all, but it is. But when something like this happens, if the program doesn't crash right now, I'm definitely going to go up and save my work because I know that something weird is going on. So the next thing I would always do is click on the save button and save it. And even taking a long time to save it. So I have that section. I'll take a look at it here now. I'm going to zoom in on it because this is the dash line is what I was trying to select. And I'm going to say edit the boundary. All right, and I guess it said edit the boundary. So I need to look at my first floor framing plan. So we'll open that view up. There it is. And I really did want this to go all the way to the edge. This edge, I want my beams to sit on I want my floor joists to sit on top of the steel beams. I don't want them to end there because there's nothing for them to carry that end of it. So I'll say okay. And the one last thing I want to do is on the first floor, we turned the visibility graphics off so we didn't see this text. And so I'll type VG, and I think it's in the annotation. We're looking for structural framing, so I'll scroll down all the way, and we have structural framing tags. I don't want to see those, so I'm going to uncheck that. And as I said before, this is kind of like in AutoCAD, those are layers in AutoCAD, so I just turn those off. I'll save it, and then we'll stop it here. We got our first set of framing in on the first floor framing.